Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Wednesday Night Live at Christ Church for September 2nd, 2020. I'm your host, Pastor Galen, and our guest host tonight is Steve Stauffer. He is our consistory president. He's going to share some words with you. But let me get started, as we typically do, with my coffee mug thought and my sharing the journey devotional for tonight. The two of these are combined together. So here's my coffee mug thought. Heart and mind, the best decisions are made with both. Think about that for a moment or two. I've entitled my Sharing the Journey devotional tonight, A More Perfect Union. And I'm reflecting on Psalm 119, verse 34, which happens to be one of the Bible passages that is scheduled for this coming Sunday. I don't refer to it specifically in our worship service. However, some of its meaning definitely comes through in the worship service. So this particular passage says this: "Give me understanding that I may keep your law and observe it with my whole heart." So let me ask you, how often do you decide something by trusting your heart? Some of us do that. People often say, "I'm going with my heart on this one." And the heart, or sometimes called the gut level feeling, is what sways the decision. Are you in that place sometimes? Others, though, might say, "I've thought it through, I've weighed the pros and cons, analyzed the facts, and I've decided to go this way." Some people do that too. And the head, or the intellect, ends up swaying the decision. You might be in that camp as well. Depending on who you are, or maybe it's your personality, one or the other of those two perspectives is your go-to, right? When it comes time to decide something, one of those perspectives becomes the most likely resource for you, one that may be dominant in your thinking. And that's good, because God has given us both. The psalmist seeks understanding, that's the head part, so that God's law may be kept with my whole heart, he writes, or she. It's the yin and the yang of our inner lives, the heart and the mind, and we need both. But I think there's more to decision making than just the head and the heart. There's also faith and love. There's also wisdom and insight. To have these as resources, as part of our go-to, helps to create this well-rounded perspective, I think. I think it helps to create a more perfect union within our inner lives. And God gives us these too. So in the next few days of September, and certainly in November, we will be making important decisions. We will have a decision to make on September 20th when we decide to call Reverend Fa Lane as our associate pastor. In November, we will decide who among the presidential candidates we will support. I imagine these decisions, and many more like them, are not flat, one-dimensional circles, but really are like full orbs, rounded, three-dimensional globes. We use our heart and our mind, we use our faith and our love, we use our wisdom and our insight, and perhaps more. All of these are useful to us as we make our decisions. So I encourage you, friends, in your prayers, ask God for a more perfect union in you for all of these resources, for all the decisions that you make. So let's pray for a moment, shall we? O God of heart and mind, God of faith and love, God of wisdom and insight, may each of us use all of these as we make our decisions. We humbly ask this in your name. Amen. Well, let me introduce to you once again the second most frequent co-host of this Wednesday night live segment, Steve Stauffer, our consistory president. Here he is.
Good evening, everybody. I was just listening to Galen, and I was thinking something, looking out the windows. This Galen said I do this, I don't know, maybe once a month. And the reason we started Wednesday Night Live was to try to catch all our communications with everything that's happened through COVID and just operating the church. And I think in March and moving into spring, I would come in here and it was still kind of dark out at 7:30, if I remember correctly, but spring was coming. And of course, in the summer at 7:30, it was so light. And now, of course, we're headed into early fall. And I just think, one, how long we do Wednesday Night Lives, but just as we endure through this pandemic and continue to operate and how this changes in seasons, and clearly it'll probably be a while yet. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. It just couldn't help but think of the change of seasons and as we've tried to manage through this pandemic together. I try once a month to give you an overview of what's happening and just an understanding. And incorporated with that, Galen hands me a lot of more detailed notes. So I kind of try to put that together. But I think I want to just touch on the overview first. Thanks, Galen. This September 6th, as we continue to communicate this is our last Sunday for outdoor worship at 9:30. That's been communicated here for weeks and weeks, if not a couple months. Beginning September 13th, and 10 days, that we do start change. At 9 o'clock, there'll be faith formation. And at 10:30, we will remain outdoors and worship one time on a Sunday at 10:30. So that is the change for what we call Spirit Sunday, beginning September 13th. We think we're going to use that model through September and October. When we get into October, a little more iffier there as we monitor the weather, and we'll see what happens on how long we can do that if everything stays the same. Obviously, if numbers change dramatically or requirements or regulations change or what we can and can't do, that may factor into our decision making. But as of now, we're looking at September and October following that model that will begin September 13th. Honestly, from there on, we don't know. We've not had a ton of conversation. I certainly have been thinking about it. I've been trying to talk to a few other people here or just in the congregation just on possibilities, and there's a couple possibilities. But if COVID is tough on us and requirements are tough on us and the weather's tough on us, we're going to have challenges. But we'll figure that out soon. There's a lot going on right now to be focused on. But that's what our not long-term, I guess the next few months plan is. I just want to check through some current information before I go further. Let's see. We want to really thank Rich Kalebear and the Runnels Sound team, Wes, Garrett, Riley. We are now able to broadcast live at 9:30, and in a week that'll be 10:30. So if you're watching virtually online, you're going to be watching exactly what we're doing here outdoors, which is just awesome. They've actually built speed bumps that goes over this cable on the alley. They're pretty cool. And it's just amazing the work that the Runnels family have done, hours and hours each week, taking care of us. And I don't know that they've had a weekend off yet. And we're trying to take care of that. But anyway, that's happening. I also want to ask that if ushers would be willing for not only this Sunday, but the fall months for outdoor worship services, please let Tracy know. We only need about 5 ushers. It's really pretty easy. A couple people to ring the bell. Just if anybody just needs a little guidance on where to sit or getting out of their cars or just where to park and watch the service in the car. We are starting to get a few more people coming to the outdoor worship, which is awesome. We have plenty of space and everybody masked, so it's really safe. But we just want to continue to have those 5 ushers and just to take care of everything. So if you could consider that, that'll be good. We've had a group of 6 or 7 that have been rotating, but if we could add another 1 or 2, that would be wonderful. Using Realm, you can see the Christ Church events and activities, and also RSVP, anything that you wish to do. Monday, the church offices will be closed in honor of Labor Day. On Tuesday, we start to have a lot happening all next week. At 7 o'clock, the Carolyn Choir, the Bell Choir has rehearsal. At 8 o'clock is the Contemporary Christian Conversation class available on Zoom. If you want to join that group led by Jeff McLeod, just let Tracy know and they'll send you a link. Wednesday, there's a frozen foot race meeting, excuse me, not race yet. Easy, Chuck, just the meeting. And also Wednesday Night Live next week. And then on Thursday, there's the property committee spiritual at 6:45 on Zoom, and consistory on Zoom at 7:30 of next week. Saturday is the decommissioning services at Hartman Center. And on Sunday, as we already said, starts on the 13th, Spirit Sunday, we start the 9 o'clock faith formation and 10:30 outdoor worship. Joys and concern, please keep these people in your prayers. Barb Cook is preparing for a lumpectomy and values our prayers. Diane DeArmond is receiving treatment for cancer and surgery is not scheduled. Jen Hampton's uncle Michael is at Lancaster General, and her mom is ready for lung surgery. So a lot happening there. Rich Carolbear continues his recovery from the infection in his foot. Jamie Lieber continues with hospice care at home, and our hearts and prayers go to Jamie. Barb Shinago's son Michael has a torn retina and could possibly lose his vision. Dan Sorensen, who is Bob and Terry's son, is going through a painful divorce and would like our prayers. Sharon Toes is in Lancaster General, for cancer treatments. And Susan Van Sciver is undergoing treatments for cancer and values our prayer. And what an attitude Sue always has. I think that goes through some of those details. What I would like to do, Gail, and I'm just sliding your glasses just a little bit so I don't bump them or break them. They're fine. I would like to talk about the September 19th and 20th. That's a really big weekend in our church. And if you would please mark it in your calendars for the whole week, and the 19th and the 20th, and we'll talk more about that. But especially the 20th. I'll explain why, but it's so important. We're putting so much work into this that it would be wonderful to have a ton of people here. And also, if you wish to be online, that would be just as wonderful. This Associate Pastor Call weekend, what we're doing, because COVID presents so many challenges, what we're trying to do is have Reverend Fall Lane as available as possible so that you can get to know her and be connected and know. I mean, we've been sending out resumes and background information on Pastor Fall, and if you haven't gotten that information, just let us know. But we're also trying to make it that Fall can talk with you if you wish, and it would be wonderful to do that. On Saturday the 19th, there'll be a meet and greet via Zoom at 6:30 on Saturday the 19th, and all this information will become available. But if you want to just chat with Fall and ask her a question or two, that opportunity will be at 6:30, and this information will be sent to you. At 7 o'clock, there'll be a meet and greet drive-through. And this has all been coordinated by our planning team, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But what they've done is they're trying as hard as we can to give the opportunities for you to get to know Fall as well as you can. And so at 6:30, there's a Zoom meet and greet. At 7 o'clock, there's a drive-through meet and greet. And get a load of this. At 8 o'clock, Pastor Fall can meet with us personally, 6 feet and masked, of course, under the big tent. And I'll talk more about that. And she can answer any questions you may have. So we'll run that as late as we want. We'll maybe go to midnight and everybody over to Galen's place. But there's no end time on that. So we're trying as hard as we can to give as much opportunity as we can. I was going to say it's reasonable, but we're even going over that. Sunday, September 20th is a critical day. At 10:30, we'll have faith formation at 9. At 10:30, we will worship with Pastor Fall preaching outdoors under a big tent. Talk more about that in a minute. In addition, we will have live worship available online. So that is the time that's so important for you to be able to participate in. And there's some reason for that as far as numbers, that we have to have certain many people, but it's not that. And I'll talk more. The main part is we just want so many people in the congregation to be involved and committed to what we're doing with bringing in a key person in our staff that will hopefully be able to take us much further in our church and be a part of a wonderful team and everything we're doing. And I'm going to elaborate on that in a minute. At 11:30, after the 10:30 worship service, at 11:30, there is a special congregational meeting. There's just one item on that, and it has to do with the discussion, the making the motion, the discussion as we choose to do, and then the vote on Pastor Fall. And then following that, we'll have a cookie and cupcake reception that will follow, that will be careful with all the COVID protocol. So that's a very rough breakdown, not a very rough, that's what we're thinking of doing, put together by this the Associate Pastor Call Committee that's been working on this. And this information, I think, will be able to be sent to you tomorrow, that will just list this out in a more organized fashion. But I would like to just elaborate on that. And I'm sorry if a couple of my notes cross over. We already talked about getting to know Pastor Fall on Saturday the 19th further than what you do now. Again, we've tried to send out written information to you now so that you have a chance to read through. But then on the 19th, available through Zoom, drive-through, and a personal meet and greet under a tent. Already talked about Pastor Fall helping on the 20th, on Sunday the 20th, with preaching and helping to lead the service. I'd like to take you back into the background of where we are on this journey with the associate pastor, and it really is a pretty remarkable and wonderful journey. On 2018, when Fred Young left us to move on to a church that he now pastors, our church formed a discernment committee that was chaired by Amy Adams. And as part of that discernment of what our church wanted, we sent a survey out, and it was pretty clear that what our church wants is that associate pastor full-time position replaced. That's what we chose at that time. I believe it was late 2018. That discernment was then taken to consistory, which in turn charged and established a search committee. And that search committee was established to source and search for a qualified candidate to take the position that our congregation says that we've wanted and that we've had for a long time. The search committee was led by Scott McDermott, and if I'm not mistaken, and boy, I apologize if I left somebody out, Allison Downing, Lisa Highlander, Carolyn LeBoy, Jeremy Wells, Tracy Yazzie, and if I'm missing anybody, I apologize. But those people worked hard and worked through COVID and discovered the qualified candidate, which is Pastor Fall. That person that was identified through our search committee, that recommendation was then taken to ministry. Ministry approved, made the recommendation to consistory. Consistory then approved, and the final step is now for the congregation to get to know Pastor Fall and make your vote. That would take this full circle. Congregation to discernment, to consistory, to search, to ministry, to consistory, back to the congregation. And that's what you asked, and we're pretty much completing the cycle almost, coming up on 2 years now. There has been a lot of people involved with this journey. Many thanks to numerous people, and a lot of work and time put into what we asked for, and to that what we asked for as far as the congregation's discernment and desire for a full-time associate pastor. The major focuses, and we've tried to communicate this, the major focuses include youth, faith formation, helping with homebound and pastoral connections, helping to lead with marketing and evangelism from our church, and helping with worship and preaching. Those are the 5 areas. And I think personally, the youth, the faith formation, homebound, some of those areas are pretty critical to us. And I'm just going to personally elaborate. I think that in many of these areas that we've not had an associate pastor, our lay people have been wonderful. Faith formation, people leading youth events, people still meeting or at least talking with homebound people. Our lay people have been unbelievable. But in my opinion, we really need a person to coordinate and be and direct and give some leadership in that area, these areas, which is what we're trying to do. Even with COVID, we want the congregation to be as fully engaged as possible. There's two reasons for this. First of all, it's the right thing to do. The second, it allows Pastor Fall and us the best path forward for future success in the months and years ahead. I firmly believe if we can communicate and introduce and allow the congregation and have you get involved, at least with that weekend, that will grease the wheels and be able to move us forward so much faster. Fall will feel more comfortable, will be able to hit the ground more running instead of all that learning curve. We're still going to have that. And the same with the congregation getting to know her. And that's why it's just vital that if you can, September 19th and 20th, it would just be wonderful.
At the end.
Okay. Thank you, Galen. A few other details that we're doing. I already mentioned the tent, that we're going to have a big tent. It's not going to be any 2-person pup tent or a 6-person pup tent. No, I'm not sharing with a few of you people. Just kidding. Just trying to put some joking in here. But we'll have a tent outside. And the reason for that is it'll obviously be a gathering place for us Saturday and Sunday, but it takes away that threat of that little rain that we've had all day today, which would make things miserable to be outside without a tent. But I think that'll give us the firepower that we need to worship outside, meet Fa outside on Saturday evening. And it just gives us literally the protection that we can put a lot of people safely under the tent. If it's clear out and a nice evening, a nice Sunday, we can obviously sit even further from the tent. A huge piece that we're doing to get as many people connected because of COVID is the online. Obviously, you'll be able to participate at 10:30 for worship and to hear Fall preach. This is pretty remarkable. Wes, Tom, and other people are putting together online participation for the congregational meeting and voting. And we're still completely understanding how this works, but they will be set up with the technology under the tent that as you have a question, if you do, that question can be read and answered so that everybody under the tent and yourselves online, if that's the way you participate, will be able to be involved. Questions that may be asked under the tent. I mean, we may not have many, we may have a few. Those questions will be read so that you can hear that and then any answers that we'll be able to respond to. So we're trying so hard to link on site and being here as one possibility, and also online. I meant to say in person and online. So we're going to try and put all that together. And I'm just amazed at our technology people trying to do this. We also are going through additional hurdles to make sure this works. The voting, it is our belief, expectation, and actually insistence that the voting is done simultaneously so that when people in person are voting, so will people online. I think it's going to work. We're actually going to do some tests on this, and I am hoping to talk to Galen about something today of putting in a backup system as well. But our expectation is that we will vote at the same time. We'll be able to tabulate those two pieces of voting at the same time and give a result at that time, present the result to Fa Lane at that time. She can accept, and we go for that. That's the process. And I'm amazed at how far our church has been able to put together not just this weekend, but so many other pieces. And I think it's just wonderful. It's a light. It's a beacon, and there's so many people that are so committed to try to give you, the congregation, the opportunity to be involved. I'm just inspired by that. Um, I mentioned a lot of coordination, and I don't know about begging, but please, please attend in person, attend online. If you have questions, just let us know. I'll some of my personal thoughts. I think this is a wonderful opportunity weekend for our church. It'll be safe and protected outdoors. You could be safe and accessible online, and everybody should be able to participate. Personally, I would expect, but if Fall Lane is what we believe as we further get to know her, this opportunity is exhilarating to our church. Uh, we need the assistance now, and I'm pretty much in I'm pretty much involved with everything right now, and we do need to get back to a complete team, in my opinion. And I think my opinion is based on objective information, faith formation coordination, homebound, our youth. As I said, our lay people have been great, but youth and faith formation, this is the lifeblood of our church. And I believe right now we need some help. And we've relied on Galen and Tracy and Nadine and our lay people, but we need somebody to tie that together. And if Fall is what we believe she will be, and you'll get to see that, I think right now that's immediate help that we need as we begin to negotiate through future seasons with COVID, and especially with our youth, our faith formation. And I'm just repeating myself. The other reason that I think this is critical right now is when COVID releases, having when finally we can breathe better again, having that second pastor will give us so much more firepower as we try to really get our church going again. It just gives us more amp, more voltage. We're going to be hopefully moving with our youth, and we can move quickly. That is going to be an effort. There'll be change. We have changed through this pandemic. And I think Fall, the potential of Fall, is wonderful right now, the immediate help that's needed. But I think even more importantly is the future of Christ Church. This is a person who can help drive our team to a higher level, and that team being not just the staff, not just the leadership of the church, but especially the congregation. I think from what I know, she'll be great, and it'll be wonderful. I really don't have anything else. There will be more information coming as, again, our associate weekend committee does so much work. The staff, the search committee has been great, as all these groups continue to try to get the information to you. If you have questions, you're not getting something, just let us know. But please, again, mark your calendars for the 19th and the 20th, especially that Sunday, the 20th would be wonderful. And I think I do have one more thing. Please add to your prayer list Patricia Best and family upon the death of Patricia's father, Jack. So Patricia, Ryan, Hayden, Mike will be thinking of you, and we're very sorry for your loss. Congregation members, as the rain pours here, you guys are so close, and we're doing so much wonderful stuff in our church. Do what you can. We look forward to seeing you when you can. Stay with us online. And soon we'll continue to be more and more connected. Much love to all. Good night. End stream and end.
Well done.
Thank you.